Hey everyone, today I'm going to walk us through design that I put together with the new software application called FlutterFlow. Um, I have done a couple years worth of Flutter development, but this definitely sped up the process by probably around 2x, and that was my first time being in the platform. I was able to stand this up in about a weekend. So I did take a little bit of a mock of one of the designs I made before in Flutter, and then I was able to recreate it in FlutterFlow and add my own touch. So I already had an API that I was leveraging to pull in this Shark Tank data. And we'll be able to see where I can retrieve that information here in my other site. But we'll stick to the FlutterFlow side of things, and then when we get to the API discussion, I'll dive into that further. So what I've done is I've created a leaderboard here that shows you how much each shark's invested across the 14 seasons of Shark Tank. I know the 15th season's out right now, and I'll update that data at some point in the future. And you can drill down and filter on a specific category. So if we said, the sharks, all the pitches that were children category. So any of the ideas that the entrepreneurs came to the table with that were in that children category or something else. So we can see that this tailors down, and now Lori leads that particular category. You can also filter down by the gender of the entrepreneur team. So if one male and one female joined the tank, that would be a hybrid, or you'd have just male team, female team, depending on the entrepreneurs. And you can see, who invested the most in that particular category and gender of individuals, entrepreneurs. The second page is just a rank view. If you don't want the kind of leading percents here, then we can go to the rank view, and it's just a flat, just a different view. So if you prefer that, go ahead and use it. Cool thing about this is that you can drill down into each one of these, and it's actually going to call a different API route here and show the amount that those individuals invested. So in this case, Damon John, and so some shark information as well, and also what he's known for, as well as his birthday. So we can really drill into any of these sharks. And now this is filtering down, saying this is the investment in children categories of pitches where the gender of the entrepreneur team is hybrid. Similarly, if we went ahead and cleared these filters off, we could see Mark Cuban's done 60.1 million here. And we can go back to that percent view. The last piece that FlutterFlow made extremely easy is I could actually come up here and toggle a theme mode on and be able to change my theme from dark mode or light mode to dark mode really easily. And setting up that design and color palette's super seamless as well. So similar thing here, just flip the colors around. And the other piece is going to be that responsive design, right? When we look at larger screen sizes. So I was able to take this and make a responsive design relatively quickly. I did add one thing in to cap the max width of the screen to help with my responsive design to 1200 pixels. And I was able to deploy this to a website with literally one click. It was super simple. So I pulled that here, and I can go ahead and reload this. And this is the leaderboard.sharktankapi.dev, as you can see up here in the URL. And this is really cool too, because it's live. Anyone can come to this site if they want to check it out and see what it looks like from a web view. I did build this mobile first, so it's going to look a little bit better in my opinion. We'll see I capped it at 1200 pixels here, so I'm not dealing with things outside that range. I have a very large screen, but as we come into here, it does start to look nicer and nicer if we get to that mobile screen size. So it was mobile first. So let's dive to what some of the build looks like. So really there's two API routes in this that are retrieving the data for this project. And like I said before, that comes from my Shark Tank API that I built. And anyone can leverage this. I just made it freely available. Although there are rate limits on it just to reduce any abuse that someone might bring to the platform. So for an individual that's just calling it outright, it's going to rate limit you by 10 requests per minute by your IP address. And for providing if you go ahead and go to the website, sign in, come to the API keys page, you can actually get your own API key here that you can copy and use in the request to get up to 25 requests per second. But usually the 10 suffices. If you need more, feel free to sign up and grab one of those. So if I come down to the API calls section of FlutterFlow, this is really where um, a lot of the power of this platform comes forth. In my opinion, this API call section is really, really strong. So I can just list my route, can give the API call a name, and then I can use it across everywhere else in my project very easily with a backend query call. So here's where we can determine whether or not we want to add any query parameters or variables. So in my case, I added category and gender as variables, and then those filters are feeding these variables to go ahead and call this Shark Tank API. And so if we go ahead to the response and test section, this get sharks by amount invested essentially, we could choose to include a category or gender. I'll go ahead and just test this API call. And here it's going to return me that information. We'll see that 60.1 million that we saw before on the actual website. Or if I specify a specific category, maybe in this case, it was children, I can go ahead and test that API call again. And we'll see that view change. It's going to filter down on those queries. And here in the headers, you can see how many requests or rates I have remaining because I just made 2 calls there, so I have 9 requests remaining. Similarly, if I want to just drill down on maybe mail investments, I can hit try here, and we'll have 8 remaining, and we get a different calculation back from my API. So all the business logic's being performed on that API to pull that information down for you guys. Great. The other call that I had, let's go ahead and discard that, was the get shark by ID. So this is when we're drilling down into those more granular pages, right? If I click on Mark Cuban here, jump into this page, I'm going to stick to the mobile view for this. If I click on this, then I'll get the rest of that information specifically about the shark, not just the amount that they invested in their image. I get, further details. So if you wanted to go and sign up and grab an API key, feel free to go to sharktankapi.dev, sign in, and then go to the API keys section under your profile, and you can go ahead and copy this. Now, if I come back to my requests here, let's say that I want to go to this get shark by ID, I can add headers here, and I can add an X API key, and then that is the key for this, and the value is going to be that API key that we just grabbed from that website. So I'll go ahead and rotate this, but you guys can see it for now, just for example's sake, and go ahead and save that guy down. And we could come to the responses, and if we're just testing Shark 1, which should be Mark Cuban, I can go ahead and test this API call, and we get the information specific to that shark. And in the headers here, I guess we need to call it one more time. We'll see that I have that 23 requests remaining, so we have a little bit higher of a rate limit there. Don't get bogged down by that. I really didn't hit any rate limit problems of just the 10, so you probably don't even need to go get an API key, but if you want to test other endpoints, you can explore that other site. The other really cool thing, right, we can come to our data types, and I could define the shark. I can grab all those fields that are being returned by my API so that the rest of my application in FlutterFlow can consume these fields much easier. I'm not having to manually type them out. So here I'm defining the types that are being returned, and when we look at the actual application, or we'll go to the shark investment object, this API is just returning 4 fields, an object with name, invested, shark ID, and image. And in the actual application itself, if we're under the leaderboard page, I'm just making one call to that get sharks by calculation, or whatever I called that, get sharks by amount invested. And that's on this query column here. If I come to my backend queries, I made an API call to that. And then the rest of my application can consume these things. So if I wanted to look at one of these particular widgets, I can see that I'm passing this component widget the image path of the shark, the player name, in this case, shark name, score, which is the amount invested. I tried to make this dynamic so that you could use this leaderboard for your own purposes. If you just have teams and a leaderboard or different players, or whatever have you, so it's a little bit more flexible. And then the avatar size, just to make it easier to scale how big I want to make these images appear on the page, as well as the shark ID. So that is pretty much everything. I guess the last thing that I didn't cover is going to be under the theme settings and colors. This is the design system, and it is really streamlined. This makes it very easy and awesome to come in here and define my colors and just be able to reuse them across my entire project. And you saw when I flipped that theme switch, I had these set up already, and there was barely any editing that I actually needed to do. So, hope you enjoyed the template. I'm going to post the template on the marketplace for free. And let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. Bye.